I learned that drinking was camaraderie and safety. He wouldn't beat the shit out of me if I was drinking with him. Boy, did I take that to the next extreme.
When I was a kid, when I would watch someone else drink, I would get anxiety. When I'd watch people I loved start drinking, I didn't like that I would see people I admired, like my father. I didn't like his energy changing. It never made me feel happy. It made me feel very, very anxious as a kid. You don't realize when you drink around kids how it makes children feel. When you connect some of the worst tragedies that happen in this country, they're always substance related. They just are. I don't think I've ever been happier with myself since I quit drinking. This is the happiest by far I've ever been. And it's because I'm always in control. So here's the bigger point too. How many hours does Kelly get back? Does Eric get back feeling good that you felt like shit? Those hours, how you compound them into actions that serve you, it literally will create different lives completely. And imagine how that affects your children or the impact you have on the world. Everything you touch becomes better if you can compound that time back.
All we ever want is more time. We kill ourselves to make all this money, and then at the end of our life, we trade every dollar for another day. If you look at life that way and you realize how precious and how little time we have, why do you want to spend it wasted? Because it's wasting it. You're wasting time being wasted.
Real quick for our audience, for Man on Mission audience, I want to introduce you to a good friend of mine, Kelly Siegel, down in Florida, CEO of National Technology Management. This is someone that I have a lot of similarity with, a lot of connection with because our stories, they align so uniquely. We became friends really through social media. It connects to a lot of these people in the personal development space. He's breaking through, as am I, but it was really his viewpoint on alcohol that I thought was really intriguing. And it was one of the, I think from my perspective, the thing that really linked me to him. And then he's got a book. He's an author, Harder Than Life. I can't wait to hear more about Harder Than Life. Number one, you can just hear the words and know that it's something that we all, right there, there's a lot of motivation just behind those three words, Harder Than Life. That's the stuff that fuels me. So Kelly, welcome to the show, man. I'm excited to get into your story. I know you came from a broken family, and I know you're the one. Ed Milet talks a lot about this, being the one. You broke the cycle of abuse, addiction, and poverty, and so I'm really excited to get this story out of you, man. So welcome to the show, bro.
Thanks for having me, man. The feeling is very mutual. This is just going to scratch the surface of what's about to happen now that we've connected. I expect very big things, and anytime you see your name and my name associated with something from now on, it's going to be energy and love.
Love it. Beautiful.
So you talked about sobriety. I'm going to throw it back on you.
Okay.
You're what? How long have you not drank now?
I'm on 3.5 years, no alcohol.
Isn't it a cheat code?
Oh God, no, people don't have any clue. No, and even people that don't drink, they haven't tapped into it the way that I think me and you have. It's an energy, it's a wavelength, and it is a cheat code, undeniable. I'd love to explore that topic too, because I think how the best we could serve our audience is by get them to tap into some of the frequencies that me and you've tapped into on this subject matter, because it's not talked about enough. It's better than just health. Health is the easy part. Like, of course, you're more healthy if you don't drink. Yeah, you get better sleep. Yeah, you get more hours back in your life where you wake up teeming where you normally would have been hungover. At events, dinners, birthday parties, charity events, all the things that we give our excuses to drink, and we're not alcoholics, right? But they happen every week. That's a very consistent amount of drinking. Forget all that. What you're talking about with this idea of a cheat code is something so far beyond just the health benefits. And it's really this capacity to separate yourself, because it's like you have eyes to see, and it's something that I think that is worth talking about.
It absolutely is. And I'll tell you, if somebody's listening to this Man on a Mission and this is starting to irritate them in any way,
right,
if it's in your stomach, listen to this podcast.
Thank you.
Because you have two very successful men, not only financially, but in all facets of life. And where my success really took off, and I know I can speak for you as well, is that moment I said, I'm going to try 90 days without the naughty water. And when I did 90 days, I did another 90 days. So guys, I wasn't a drunk. I wasn't an alcoholic. No. I just was out of alignment with it. And you know what? The funniest thing in the world is the only reason why I really started drinking heavily was because I couldn't sleep. So if I drank more, I would pass out and that would allow me to sleep. But what I didn't realize is it was just what was going on between my head. So once I really eliminated that crutch and that mask of alcohol, I realized that I got on that hamster wheel of life.
Sure.
That merry-go-round that Ed Milet talks about, that merry-go-round. You go round, around, 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 and you puke. I'm getting on life's roller coaster, and I'm going to go up and down, and I'm going to enjoy the ride. Because the moment that flatlines, we're dead.
Yeah.
So even when I'm in those valleys, and I believe I'm in one right now, but man, am I happy to be with you. I ride them, and I believe in invisible progress. We're just freaking jamming on the gas, and it gives you so much more energy and clarity, freedom. Because when I walk into a room now, I'm no longer wasting time going for the bar or asking people what they're drinking or what are they doing after. I am 100% present, and I'm giving them all of me versus I had a drink. And guys, these people I want to talk to too, man. I need to have a drink to be social. No, you don't. That's just something you've been fed, because you're probably less social having that drink than you would be if you just faced your fears of the other person's just as uncomfortable as you. They're like, oh my God, if he knows me, he's going to know that I'm an introvert and that I don't even like having this conversation and that he's big and scary and I don't want to be found out. We all got those skeletons.
Yeah. No, there's real power in being able to stand toe to toe with someone sober and just be in it. Because drinking's kind of an easy out, but if it does lower your inhibitions, like there's the ROI of that doesn't really benefit you. It doesn't create better results in the end. And that's what I've realized now. There's real power in just being there present and being fully in your own skin. There's so much value, but you don't know it when your crutch is alcohol.
Well, I always say, what kind of a celebration requires a punishment? I'm going to celebrate. I had a killer week, and I'm going to drink until I puke, or I'm going to drink until the next day I'm dehydrated. I don't want to do anything,
bro.
Like,
yes.
Man.
You know how many people that listen to this right now know exactly what the worst they've ever felt, and they connect it to some kind of hangover. But yet they go right, and they say in those moments, I'm never going to drink. How many times you said, oh my God, I'm never going to drink again? I've said that so many times, and I watch people tell me that, and then by like 3:00, they're cracking one. Once they get, once the hungover is kind of like settled in, and like they realize I need another one to get out of it, or they're feeling good enough again where it's like, oh, I forgot what I just said 3 hours ago.
Well, you can't solve a thinking problem with a drink. It just doesn't work. This is a thinking, and that's really why I drank. I drank to fit in and be like everybody else. Well, here's a newsflash. Just look at us. Do we look like everybody else? Why the heck do I want to fit in? I grind every day, read every day, meditate, work out. We're already the 1%ers. Let's make it 2%, man. I want more people to come with me because life is amazing. As you say, we're on a mission. But it's so much deeper than that because people don't know any better. It's that freaking merry-go-round that we talked about.
Yeah.
And I got a newsflash for you. It ain't about the drinking. The drinking is the symptom, not the disease.
Totally.
Disease is whatever's going on in your mind.
Yeah.
That's it. Heal that, and you can. People say, "Well, why don't you?" I just heard this the other day, and I almost fainted. It was Jimmy Rex on Chris Williamson's podcast, and he said, drinking still owns you if you can't reintegrate it into your life. And I was like, I get the concept, and I'm not going to disagree with those two gentlemen, but for me personally, that doesn't work because I have zero desire to drink. Yeah. Because I'm vibrating at a 10. If I drink, I'm going to come down to a 9, even if it's just one.
Feel that.
I could have one and walk away. I don't want it because I have cured the childhood trauma that made me fit in. Now, mine goes real deep, man. I learned very young, when I was young, that if I served my stepfather drinks and then he would give them back to me at 9, 10, and he'd say, drink with me. I learned that drinking was camaraderie and safety because he wouldn't beat the shit out of me if I was drinking with him. And boy, did I take that to the next extreme. And thank God you and I didn't meet each other when we were drinking because we might not be here. We might be in a state penitentiary somewhere.
For sure. I think that most of our greatest problems start at childhood. And there's a little child inside of us has never been talked to, hasn't been healed. We haven't fixed that. And it's the people that have figured out how to, number one, be in hell, go through hell, but how to heal the person that went through that. Those are the most dangerous people in the world. And what I keep finding more and more and more is the people that are the most healed are the ones that are the most in control of who they are as people. And there's no substance that gets in the way of that. You know, a lot of times you just need to meet one person. You need to have one strong influence in your life that gives you the permission that no one's ever given you. And if we can be that number one, great. But for me, it was a billionaire that became like a family to me, like a second father. He was the first guy in my entire life that gave me permission to not drink. And made it acceptable that I'm going to be okay if I don't ever drink again. Never a business meeting or a dinner or a lunch. And I can't tell you how it changed my life. And to be able to pass that off with you, take it if you want. If you don't, I don't care. I don't judge. I could care less. I'm just here as a beacon and a light. But I know that you feel that same way I do. We've talked about this.
Yeah, for me, it was, you're going to laugh. For me, it was giving myself the permission. I don't ask anybody permission for anything. I do what I want when I want. Always. There's nobody going to stop me. Bouncers have proven that the wrong way back in my drinking days. But I had to give myself permission that I was cool to not drink. I mean, I went out for a year after I quit, and man, I took it on the chin. And I had to meet myself and say, you are still cool, even though you don't drink. And now people are like, what were you like when you drank? Because you're crazy when you're sober. I'm like, oh, it was.
What were you like when you
fun,
drank? What were you like?
I was the life of the party, man. I wasn't one of those guys that you just didn't want to be around. It was fun. I would jump on the bar and run across the bar. I would go behind the bar and make drinks for people. And you know, I've got this big smile on my face, and I'm 5'9" and 220 pounds. So there ain't many people gonna move me. And you see me smiling and laughing, what are you gonna say to me? I'm not hurting anybody. So I was just that guy that just was happy-go-lucky and wanted to be noticed. It was all it was, hey, look at me, notice me, please love me.
Sure.
Please love me. Because I didn't have enough love.
What made you want to quit
And
drinking?
if I do these antics, people freaking would short-term love me.
Yeah.
And what I realized very quickly is I can supply all the love I need right here. And then now that I'm on this personal development or self-improvement game, I get to meet people like you that love me who've never even met me. That's cool, man.
Yeah. So why would you quit drinking if you were having so much fun, your life party? What was the thing that triggered you that said, this is something I shouldn't be doing?
Oh, you know what? The hangovers were horrible. Dude, at 30 years old, I did the Hangover 2 in Bangkok, Thailand with 10 of my buddies. All those places, with that rooftop bar where they arrested, what is his name? Chong, or I forget his name. But anyways, where they arrested their freaking main character, we were there for New Year's. Every single place we were there, we did it. And it was like, I was 30 years old and I'm like, this is not sustainable. So now I'm more of a man of God now. There's just so many things that have happened to me, and I'm like, wow, somebody's been looking out for me. And I just said, you know, I have been put in situations where I shouldn't have been out alive, and I'm here, so I'm going to do something with it. And I'm grateful. So really, just to answer that question shortly, though, I kept meeting women who were emotionally unavailable, and you know, I'm meeting them in drinking situations. And I wanted to meet someone who was working on themselves, who loved themselves, who would love me back unconditionally, who would be loyal, who would be honest, who would communicate with me. And I said, I got to become that dude. And that dude doesn't include drinking.
No.
And what do you know? Years later, I met somebody, and she's outstanding, and life is really good. Business picked up. I started the Heart and Life brand. I get to meet some of the most interesting people on the planet. I get to go to some of the coolest events. That's way more cooler than showing up at concerts drunk going backstage and doing drugs. It just was unsustainable. You'd think, Eric, I would have figured out when my father died 25 years ago from alcohol and drugs that I would stay away from it. Nope. I'm smarter than my dad. I can figure this out. But I did eventually. And it's just a cheat code, and I'm going to continue praising it. And you're seeing more and more stuff about it. Andrew Huberman's huge on it right now, talking about how bad it is.
Yeah, there's so many people that are going to have their own connection to this topic that we're kind of bringing up. So I just want to point out a couple things that I think are beneath the surface. They carry more validity to this subject than maybe anything. Number one is children. So if you have kids, I know when I was a kid, when I would watch someone else drink, I would get anxiety. When I'd watch people I love start drinking, I didn't like that I would see people I admired, like my father. I didn't like his energy changing. It never made me feel happy. It made me feel very, very anxious as a kid. And I spent, and this is not a hit at him or at all. I love him with all my heart, but it's just, you don't realize when you drink around kids how it makes children feel. Now, how they develop and grow, it's interesting, right? I mean, there's a story to be told here, but I just know I never liked it, number one, first and foremost. And number two, when you connect some of the worst tragedies that happen in this country, they're always substance related. They just are. The best types of abuse in the world happen under substance abuse circumstances. Right there is something that we should all be focusing on. You mentioned something, though. I mean, in connection, it's like, well, why would they want the problem to stop? You mentioned some interesting statistics about the power of these industries that they have, the grips they have, the tax dollars these industries generate, all the sort of the things. Like, I don't know if these are problems that really, that industrial power wants to stop. So there's this force in society. It's in pop culture. It's in Hollywood. It's ingrained in our advertising that thinking that this is okay. And this is actually the thing that's probably killing your greatest ability, the greatest you, maybe more than anything in the world. No?
Well, I want to unpack that a little bit. First of all, I did a alcohol podcast that aired today on Heart and Life podcast. And I spit out some statistics that I think it was right around $11 billion a year is collected in taxes on alcohol. And right around $9 billion is collected on cannabis. So this ain't going anywhere. And cannabis isn't legal in every state. So that's gonna double in a few years soon.
Wow. Incredible.
But having said that, $20 billion in taxes, the government don't care. Plus, you look everywhere you look, and it's the cool thing to do.
That's my point.
It's when you see Eric and Kelly, they're cheersing a drink, and it's cool. And what they don't show you is the blotchy skin. But I want to go back to the kid thing. My daughter barely remembers me drinking because it was over 5.5 years ago. But she does a little bit. And she said to me, she's 15 now, and she said, we have a house in Florida, and I'm in Detroit today, but I'm headed to Florida tonight. And every New Year's, we're in Florida, and I happened to quit on New Year's Eve. And I took a drink, cheers to the people I was with, and set it down and haven't looked back yet. Didn't go to AA, didn't do anything, just worked on my mind. And my daughter said to me a couple of years back when I was single and I'm with her, and it's just she and I on New Year's, and we stay up and watch the ball drop and kiss each other and go to bed at midnight. You get a little bit boring when you don't drink, but it's boring is safe, it gets paid, and life is good. She looked at me and she said, Dad, you want to know why I love New Year's so much? And I said, no clue. Tell me why. She says, it's another year that you don't drink.
It's powerful.
And I was like, wow. If she would have said that to me, no, she was 9 when I quit. So she probably couldn't have articulated that to me. And it just melted my heart. And then now she's 15 and battling through high school and dealing with high school drama and girls that just don't know how to frickin' deal with their emotions.
Right.
And she is emotionally regulated. We have these intense conversations where I just create a safe space for her and listen and allow her. And then I show her what the masculine is supposed to look like, how it's supposed to react. and respond. And it's just completely safe. Yeah. I see her, I hear her, and I am there for her.
Yeah, you're very
and
stable.
Little to know, no matter what my schedule is, I miss very few parental days with her. Yeah. Very few. She knows she is the priority, number one, and all of that was made possible by elective sobriety. Now understand that, elective sobriety. There's a lot of people, there's a little terms going, sober, curious, and that's just, if you know your alignment, you're thinking about it, all I tell people, try 90 days. Try to take 90 days off. And if you can do 90 days, you probably can do 180. And there's some cool, again, head over to my podcast. It's podcast number 86 on Harder Than Life. And there's 3 people I interviewed about that are alcohol alignment coaches. 2 of them are just reducing alcohol. One is you shouldn't do alcohol at all. I don't care what you do. I can just tell you what my man Eric and I do, and it's just none.
Yeah, game changer.
And I don't take any cannabis. I don't take Xanax. I take this thing called I'm just high on life.
Yeah, the gym.
The gym.
Endorphins. Let me just say this real quick, that so many people think that they're their best when they're drinking. They're on alcohol. And I would argue that's when you're your worst. The worst I've seen people is when they're drunk. It's when people embarrass themselves. It's the worst arguments start. I could be sitting at a table now, sober as could be, and I could watch a little argument start between a husband and wife, and it is just appalling. Why'd you look at him? Fuck you off, bitch. Like, you just get the most insane outbursts in people. It's like the worst of humanity. I saw a fight in valet happen between a husband and wife. They were drunk as hell, and they got in their car and drove away. And I'm just thinking, man, there's so many people that make horrific decisions, terrible decisions, and that costs lives. There's a lot of people. I mean, a lot of lives cost over this. And but again, the connection I think that me and you make that's different is we can all get this, but we're trying to say that higher frequency of just cutting it out of your life and like being sober, it really starts creating almost a different reality when you really lean into it and you tap into it, especially if you've been to hell and used to drink and used to party. I'm so free now. It is so free everywhere I go to feel this kind of freedom. It's very hard to explain. It's very hard to put in words the value you get out of being this free. I don't need to do anything. I just am. And I don't know if you could speak to that, but like, I don't think I've ever been happier with myself since I quit drinking. This is the happiest by far I've ever been. And it's because I'm always in control. It's power.
Now, if you're not watching this on YouTube, I'm sure that you put it on so that people can watch it. When you said that, both of our smiles lit up and our eyes went happy because you're spot on. It is an alternative. It feels like we're in the Matrix and we just took the red pill and it's like, whoa, we can do superhuman things. Yeah. And let's not mince words. This isn't about the alcohol. It's about self-love. If you don't love yourself, and that's the hardest thing because everyone's, of course I love myself. If you loved yourself, you wouldn't drink to the point where you're getting drunk. If you love yourself, you'd have one drink or none.
But if you're gonna have one, why have any? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
I'm with you at all. I'm with you, but I just get that I've watched the woman I'm dating has one glass of wine, and that's it.
Yeah.
So I don't have a problem with it.
No, I don't. I don't either. It's one of these things though. Is like once you know the science of what's happening, you're killing all the good gut bacteria. Your brain's going to start swelling. When you think you're sleeping at night, when you pass out, no, none of your organs are sleeping. They have to work overtime to get that poison out of your body. That's why you wake up feeling like shit. You ever seen a woman when she goes out in the night and she looks like a 10 drinks in and she looks like a train wreck? That's because all that inflammation has destroyed her. And she has, you know how much your body has to work to go get that out? What a relentless cycle. If you do that once a week, that is tragic. So here's the bigger point too. How many hours does Kelly get back? Does Eric get back feeling good that you felt like shit or the old version of me felt like shit? Those hours, how you compound them into actions that serve you could be the difference between, it literally will create complete different lives completely. And imagine how that affects your children or the impact you have on the world or the relationships you have. Everything you touch becomes better if you can compound that time back. I look backwards in my life, Kelly, and there's hundreds of hours where I felt like shit. I don't feel like shit ever anymore. Zero.
And on top of it, dude, you're just turned 40. So your body's about to change.
Oof.
And things are gonna get a little bit harder to do. The second I quit at 43, dude, my body morphed into this freaking. I got an even better six pack. I got more vascularity in my veins, and it just body went whoa. And all 1 year later, all inflammation disappeared.
Amazing.
I thought the inflammation was because I worked out for 30 years or 20 at the time, 25 years. 1 year after, my knees, my back, my elbows, my shoulders, pain gone. So, but let's talk about the other things that you get from it. And which I bought a house on the ocean in Florida, bought a boat, it's in my backyard with a pool, beautiful home with my drinking funds. Well, half of my drinking funds. So it's just, I don't mean for this to be, because I'm sure we're gonna go into the other things about working out and about making money and about love and stuff. But if you're drinking more than one drink literally per week, I'm gonna beat you every single time, and your competition's gonna beat you. And I don't know about you, but I'm a competitive person, and I don't like to lose. Your boy Ed says it best: winning is more fun than fun is fun. And if they're gonna drink, I'm gonna smoke them, and without even trying. It is a cheat code, and every single thing in my life is better. There's not a single thing that got worse. There's not a single person that decided to quit drinking that was like, that sucked, I hated that.
That's one thing that is true.
Now, remember, the contrast for me is that I was the best partier in the world. I had a driver. I never drank and drove. I didn't get arrested. I didn't get in fights. I had somebody babysitting me, so I could have kept drinking forever until my body would have gave out. But I still looked like somewhat like this. So I was a good partier.
Okay. And
now I'm the best sober guy. If it was so much better drinking, I would do it.
Yeah.
There's no court order. I didn't get arrested. I didn't get told to do it. I chose this. Now, I am of sound mind and body. I'm going to choose what feels better. And if drinking was so much better, I would have freaking engineered it in my life. Yeah. And it's not.
You're never going to meet someone in 12 steps that gets through the 12 steps and regrets not drinking. I'm reading the book right now, not because I was ever an alcoholic. I actually never really liked drinking. I always did it because it was a social pressure. It was a way to break the ice. It was kind of ingrained in me as a child. At dinners, we have cocktails. At meetings, we have cocktails. Charity events, cocktails, all the things, right? I just never really liked it. And when I would drink, I would get tired. I get really sleepy. You know what I mean? And I remember some of the lows of my life, though, are when I was drinking a lot. I got pulled over by a horse one time on New Year's and got a DUI. So when I was 21, a horse pulled me over. He said, pull over. All I saw was the legs of a horse. I made so many dumb decisions when I was drunk. It was always when I was drunk. So the worst of me one is that, but I'm not even talking to that. I'm just saying even when I was starting to win in life, I know there's so many hours I wasted not feeling good. And that's what resonates with most people. Like I'm wide awake right now. What is the thing that me and you were going to talk about that resonates with the average person? Because the average person is not an alcoholic. We're not speaking directly to alcoholics. My audience is not a bunch of alcoholics. But many of them will resonate this. There's a lot of hours where I feel like shit where I didn't have to, and I kind of regret it. And there's a lot of people that will resonate with this. The worst of me is when I'm drunk. I turn into a fucking asshole or whatever the thing is. So these are the things that are going to resonate. But I'm reading this book, and it's really brought me into touch with what it's like to be a real alcoholic and the hell you go through. And for those people that may be listening or have these secret addictions, number one, I think the book should be read by every person in America. I think the literature is divine. It was written in the 1930s. The big book, the 12 Steps, the Alcoholics Anonymous book, I just think it's great literature for every person to be aware of, to know. There's so many fundamentals in there that are game-changing. But beyond that, this is something that touches every person in America, in the world's lives. Alcohol touches you whether you realize it or not. There's someone right now that is being affected by this negatively, but trust me, nobody is being affected positively. Nobody. There's no positive benefit where the outcome is worth it.
So, a couple things. The big book, I never read it. I've heard, I know the 12 steps, and they lose me right when they said you're powerless over alcohol. The only thing I'm powerless over is winning and working out. That's it. I have got to win. I've got to learn and grow every day. So as soon as I read that, I'm like, how else could I walk away from alcohol just like that? But as a businessman, and you'll appreciate this, and you're a businessman too, I admire an institution, a company, a business that does not have to advertise, that grows. That's the biggest thing about it. It's anonymous, but it's huge. Now, I have taken many people to meetings, and I got to tell you, I'm not a big fan of AA, but I know that there are certain people that live and die and are sober and living their best life because of AA. It just wasn't for me. And when I go to those meetings, I'm like, whoa. But I realize that different strokes for different folks, and I respect the institution. Now, I want to expand this because what we're talking about is crutches and masks, and it's to not feel something. That's what I want to talk about. If you're on a mission, feeling is healing, and really just naming that and like, hey, I'm feeling a little abandoned. I'm feeling a little less than. I'm feeling imposter syndrome. If you could just name it and sit in that shit for a minute, by the time that you would take a drink or take a hit of something or take a gummy, you will already have been over through that feeling. What does it take? Like 60 seconds for you to let a feeling pass through you if you just let it and don't fight it? How long is it going to take to feel something after you take a drink or take a gummy? You're talking 5-10 minutes. So my advice to anybody, and I expand this to cannabis, if you're running away from emotions, just sit in it, man. I had a beautiful conversation with you about, and I'm not going to air because it's our private conversation, but we all have these feelings. We all have less than. We feel less than. We don't feel like we belong. We don't feel like we fit in. It's normal. That's the human experience. So look for somebody. I tell you to be vulnerable and look for your bro, dude. You called me and freaking, did I 1 second make you feel any different? I said, I feel the same way at times. Yeah. And anytime you feel that way, you call your brother, and I'm going to sit there and listen to you, man. And I got you, and I guarantee you that there's people out there that want to see you, want to put their arm around you and be on your mission with you to do great things, because we're here for a freaking reason, and it sure hell ain't to freaking get drunk and high.
No. And just to add to that, when you get near people that you admire, you realize they have the same emotions that you do. They're not superhuman. They bleed the same blood. They just figured out ways, in many cases, just simple systems and processes to work through the emotions that hold most people back, that keep you a slave. They found ways to break through them, to do the thing anyway, to do the scary thing, but to not let the emotion steal from them. But we all feel them. Everyone feels them. Ed Milet, someone I greatly admire, who was a huge impact in my life. He was my mentor that really challenged me to step in the light. I realized he feels the same fear that I do by stepping in front of a big audience. But it didn't stop him, did it? He found a way through it. And there's just power in knowing that. It humanizes these people that are great at achievement. Because I think at the core of what we're talking about is you have to have a vision for your life. And to be able to have a vision for your life and see where you want to go, you really have to say, well, what is getting in the way? And 9 out of 10 times, the things that are getting in the way are things you can't really see. They're not clear, but until you really, I put some honest truth to like what is really holding you back. And alcohol is one of these clear places that what would happen if you just took that out of your life? Like, be honest with yourself. If you were able to if you had the power to take it out of your life, like they say time is money, right? Well, how much time do you get back? How would you compound that time if you had it back where you felt clear-headed, You felt good. You didn't make an ass of yourself. You didn't hurt your relationship. All the things that go wrong with it. To me, that was something I identified. It was clear for me. I made a conscious decision, and I really analyzed. I was like, man, I drink a lot, actually. I claim that I'm not an alcoholic, but fuck, there's 100 events every month that I get invited to. Every one of those is alcoholic moments like that would present themselves. And so to get those hours back, that became like one of the clearest things, but I had to be presented that had to be seen. I had to be able to see that for a minute. And that was an influence of another person. So when I said it was almost permission from one person, all these relationships I had in my life, no one had ever presented it that way. I had that presented by one person, and it was such a clear thought, like, wow, like what would I do with all that time if I got it back?
So I'm reading Chris Crone's book, Time Traveler, or Time Machine. And he says, why is everything a time or money decision? Because really it's not. Everything is a time decision.
Time.
Because if you have more time, you'll make more money. And
it's true.
Why in the world would money is the avenue. It's not, and all we ever want is more time. We make all this money, and then we kill ourselves to make all this money. And then at the end of our life, we trade every dollar for another day. So time, why? If you look at life that way and you realize how precious and how little time we have, why do you want to spend it wasted? Because it's wasting it.
That's a good point.
You're wasting time being wasted.
Yeah. Like, you must not like how you feel.
Give me that time back.
Right.
I want to spend with freaking arm in arm going on the boat with you.
Totally. Being present.
I want to freaking learn about your girl. I want to learn about life. I want to freaking help pay it forward and make an impact. So when I do leave this earth, they go, that Siegel, man, he did something.
Yeah. And beyond that, how many more lives would be positively affected if this was more common knowledge?
Well, it's getting there, Eric, because you got to understand. Look at the events that we go to now. You look at them, there's less and less and less drinking.
Oh, it's happening, right? It's happening everywhere. Yeah.
I was at an event in Dallas recently, and I was with John Gordon, Ben Newman, and not a single person drank.
No one drank, yeah.
Not one person had a drink.
Almost every dinner I go to is that way.
I had a non-alcoholic beer.
Yeah. Yep.
And it was like, whoa, even at happy hour or when people stop, people were getting energy drinks and people were. Now, some of that I think is the legalization of with the chocolate psilocybin too. I see people doing that, but you know what? Anything other than alcohol, and I don't know where you stand. I'd like to ask you this, and if you were to choose alcohol or cannabis. What's your stance on that?
None. I don't do any of that shit. None. Zero.
I'm just saying if you're going to choose one or the other, I'd rather be cannabis because you never hear about. You just posted about this. Let's talk about this. P. Diddy, and bro, I think, and we're going to use our Andy Frisella guy. I think people that beat on women need to go straight to the wood chipper.
I'm with you, brother.
Same thing with kids. That dude. I get it, you were drunk, but you never see that when they're high.
No, that's a good point.
You ever see your violent, you're just eating everything. So if you're going to pick one or the other, I'd rather them get high.
I get your point. Weed, done. Question, answer, weed. Because
the second that you freaking get violent, man, and you put your hands on somebody, that should be the end of it. That dude should be ended.
Do you know how many women tonight are going to go have abuse and how many children are abuse? And likely there's alcohol involved. Do you know how many young kids were scared for their father to come home drunk?
Bro, I got to tell you, we grew up in the ghetto. I grew up off of 8 Mile with Eminem, the movie. I went to high school with Eminem. We fought. That's what we did. If you didn't fight other people, you fought each other just because that's what you do. You're just dumb.
Yeah.
You could never get at me in a fight unless somebody put their hands on a woman. And then you ever somewhere where that happens, you're not going to be able to contain me.
You got to go. I get it.
You will see an animal come out of me that you're gonna be like, because I think women are the most precious, women and children, but women especially, they created us. And they create humans, and they're here to love us. Yeah. They need us. They need it to be safe. They need us to be our masculine, not be aggressive to them. That is insane. And if you put your hands on a woman, you are the lowest of low. And you need serious therapy. Yeah. Serious help.
It's true. Yeah. And alcohol, I think, is the connection between...
That freaking P. Diddy video, it just infuriated me. Like, if I got... And here's the question I have, Eric. Who are his people that are allowing that? Like, dude, if I was his bouncer, the next that you would have saw me come around the corner and knock him out. Lay him out because he's drunk and he wouldn't have known any better, and I would have just freaking bowled him into this freaking thing, and I would have got that lady a cab and got her out of there and said, don't ever come back.
You know what's surprising me is how long ago that happened, and this has only come to light now, and that just shows you the power these people have. They could bury stuff so easily. That should have buried him immediately, but instead he buried it, and we don't even know about it till all this time later, when now there's all these weird things with children coming up. But at the end of the day, like, he should have been exposed back then. He should have been put away back then. But that just shows you the power these people, these elites have. And that's part of the guys like us are going to be thorns in these people's asses, because we fight for truth. We're using our voice, what little power we have, but collectively, as we grow and our influence grows, like, that's the courage that I'm looking for, is to be able to use my voice to, like, call things out, to speak truth. And that's part of my mission. That's the whole reason I want to step in the light.
It's probably why your Instagram algorithm won't grow like mine.
I'm stuck, bro.
They know this guy. No. Our profile is probably like, they're going to be problems.
No, I'm stuck, buddy.
And right now in the algorithm, like, oh no, these two are talking.
Mine's shrinking, yeah.
Oh, like, Lord help us.
Yeah. I'll tell you, there's something to that, man. But the things they promote, you really consider the things that are promoted in society. It's sad. Porn, all these big industries that are gripped. And a lot of it is, I think, they're trying to create slaves. It just makes it easier for them to put their socialistic agendas on the population, is by sort of desensitizing them. But there's consequences to this. This is crazy to me that the things that are promoted in society and the powers that are behind them, but they don't care about people.
Everybody to jump on a bandwagon. Yeah. You get everybody to jump on a bandwagon, and nobody wants to take the road less traveled. They're afraid. They want to jump on that road that everybody's on. It's that silent majority. And that's what's crazy about it.
Yeah, Kelly.
The people that are all popping off about this, they're the minority.
Yeah.
But most people don't want to get in that conversation, because you're just wrestling with a pig. You're going to get muddy, and the pig's going to love it. But sign me up for that, bro.
Sure.
I'll sit there and chat with you all day long, because you ain't going to rile me up.
Sure.
Look at my social media comments, dude. These guys rip me in a new one, and I send them back love. And I convert. 1 out of every 10, I convert, and they're like, man, you really are a nice guy. I'm really sorry I said that.
Yeah.
Like, bro,
you do.
I know where you're coming
from. You ruffle people's feathers. I love it. It's so good. There's something to that,
I kill them with kindness, man. I kill them with kindness. It's it. What you see is what you get. This isn't a game.
Sure.
And, I run an IT company. It's very successful.
Tell me about
it. We've simplified cybersecurity across the nation. Mm-hmm. It does well. This whole brand is for charity. So why are you ripping me when I'm donating it all? It's like, I'm on steroids. No, I'm not.
Is that the number one complaint you get? Is that the number one people they throw at you?
Dude, I get trend. I get you're lying. It's like, bro, if you go back 30 years and look at me, I graduated from college in 1997. I was 205 pounds. I'm usually 215. Right now, I'm 220. And for 30 years, I've been the same weight, the same size. Now, there was a couple of years, and I gotta make no bones about it. You're going to see, I told you this right away. You're going to see, right when you turn 40, I had to increase my testosterone. My testosterone was 260.
Sure.
So I rub cream on my privates every day, and it brings me up to normal 800, which is what normal is. So, if that's given me an advantage, why have I looked like this for 30 years?
Sure. No, yeah, there's a lot of work that goes into it. People just don't get it. They don't have any concept
Well,
of
I will
what
tell
it
you,
looks
a
like.
lot of my success is because of dark upbringing. I have weaponized
Yeah.
the negativity of my childhood.
Sure.
And I was just talking to the CEO of National Technology Management. We left a meeting and she's saying to me, she's like, you have this amazing ability to absorb what people are saying to you and give it right back into something that makes sense and complete positivity.
Wow.
And she's like, she called it bullshitting. And I said, is it, or is it confidence? And she said, holy cow, you're right. I said, I have had to maneuver out of life and death situations so many times that I know that I'm going to survive. There's nothing that you're going to do to me that's going to make me not sleep tonight or wake up tomorrow.
Sure.
And I don't take it that serious. Somebody wants to leave National Technology Management because they perceive it as something, that's fine. We'll get somebody else. Nobody leaves. But
I think what you're saying, pain is your greatest fuel source. Like the depths of your childhood that you can tap into, it is such a great advantage and resource. And that really requires you to be grateful for something that it requires you to not be a victim over. And there's a lot of power in that message. I think you should probably unpack that, because that's probably one of the truths about people that win at the highest levels is they find a place that they can go to and tap into that is such a powerful fuel source that if you really look at it, it was probably a gift, Kelly. And that's hard to say.
Dude, I say it all the time, brother. I said, this happened for me.
Exactly.
When I messaged you yesterday on your post, I said, when people throw stones at me, I build a freaking wall.
Beautiful.
And it is a fuel source. And you're right. And I'm very grateful for it. But it took a lot of therapy and it took a lot of drinks to get there. Now, would I have preferred to grow up the way my daughter's growing up? With lots of love and lots of safety and two-way street and communication, yeah. But my parents didn't. They got beat. Their parents were alcoholics, so they just did it. And like you said, I stopped the cycle of abuse, and now I didn't come from a healthy family, but a healthy family is going to come from me. And it's that age-old thing. What? Tough people make easy times make easy people make hard times.
Sure. Yeah, Joe Rogan just really
I'm going to make
that.
a couple generations worth of easy times.
Yeah.
And eventually it'll flip back.
Sure. I was going to ask Kelly, what's your book about? Harder Than Life.
It's about that. It's so funny you say that. It's literally about my childhood. It's about my childhood up until the pandemic. I talk about how I built this multi-million-dollar IT business while being a party animal.
Wow.
And then I just come into my sobriety and I say, this is what we're going to do. And now we're doing it. And I'm writing another book that'll be out in a few months, which is going to be starting from the pandemic till now about what we did. And then I'm going to provide the blueprint, much like your coaching program.
I love it.
I guarantee you, I haven't looked into it. I guarantee you we're doing the same things. And I'm going to teach, I think I'm going to call it the Siegel operating system, SOS, as a pun on it.
Sure.
And just show people that, like, hey man, this is what I said in the end of the last book.
Yeah.
This is what we did. We've grown NTM 50% since then. We said we were going to do it. We went out and did it. So it's very vulnerable. Eric, I divulged some nasty things that happened to me in there. And I wrote it during the pandemic while we were locked down. I'm in Michigan and we were locked down for a long time. So I just wrote. And then I called an editor and they edited it. And when I read it, it was cathartic to me. That was part of my healing process.
Amazing.
I read this book when they sent it to me and I cried. I had to stop and go to the gym multiple times to have the outlet, because what I got put through, my sister's 9 years older than me. I had to call and ask her, like, did this really happen? Or did this, our thoughts are magical lies. And she's like, Kelly, you were younger than me. It was twice as bad as you remember.
Really?
Twice.
Damn.
She's like, you don't remember because you were so young. And then my stepfather got sober when I was 14 and turned into the biggest asshole. But you want to know a funny thing about it? I realized why. He didn't have the tools that you and I have. There were no podcasts. There were no YouTube. There was nothing to go to and say, what am I supposed to do with these thoughts and feelings and emotions?
Sure.
And you know what that did for me? It allowed me to heal and have compassion for him and forgive him, not for him, for me.
Amazing.
And that's when the massive healing and jumps, and that's what allows me to come on and step on a stage and just be so confident that I'm going to burn that son of a gun down. And allows me to be vulnerable and tell you, hey, I had to empty a piss jar of my stepfather every day. I had to make my stepfather's bed every day. I had to wash his clothes. I was not a child. I was a slave. And I used to say that, and I'd look down. And now I get up at 4 o'clock in the morning. You want to know why? Because my stepfather taught me to do that. And I get up and I start freaking winning.
Was it hard to tell some of those dark stories? Did it take a lot of courage out of you to do that, or was it easy?
No, it was brutal. It was brutal. I cried.
Because I'm sure you buried them, right?
You bury them, and then now they all had to come up.
Right.
So there were times during the pandemic that I was writing this and doing all this stuff and doing the work. Most people day drank and barely worked. I ripped apart NTM, fixed everything in there. I wrote a book. I started EMDR therapy. I started hypnotherapy, and I declared war on myself. I started meditating. I started listening to podcasts. I started making sure I was reading a book a week. And I said, this life as I've known it up until this point, and I've made millions of dollars at that point, is over. That person is dead, and we're starting a new Kelly. And we're in that transition right now, and I'm nearing the end of the second level. Different levels require you encounter different devils. And I am unbecoming that scared little boy that had to prove to everybody that he was successful. I release, I surrender, and I allow, and boom, I'm on the Man on the Mission podcast.
There you go.
I call up just about anybody, and they're like, come on the podcast, or we want to be on your podcast. That's blowing up. It's last check, it was number 25. We just had a great session with Sean Whalen on it. Then I had Daniel Laporte on. She was fabulous. Then we threw in some alcohol-related ones. So it's fun. I'm having a blast. And it wasn't, I don't want to sit here and say any of this crap was easy, because if it were easy, we'd all
everyone do it
sober.
Yeah.
It was dark.
Do you ask every guest that comes on your show about alcohol? Is that your common?
Yeah,
is that your common thread, you think, for your show?
We just launched the Heart and Life coaching program, and I run a multi-million-dollar IT company, so I started it from scratch. So I know business and leadership backwards and forwards. Right. I'm obviously in great shape. I got a 6-pack at 48, so I know fitness. And this all started because of the relationship with myself, that I didn't love myself, which was getting me into these terrible love relationships. Now I got a healthy relationship and all is well. So I kind of said business, fitness, and relationships, especially the one yourself, but everybody comes to me for fitness or alcohol.
Yeah, right. That's what you come in for.
So here's my problem, Eric. I can't charge people that want help with alcohol. I struggle. I've taken on 2 people already under my wing. One guy called me from rehab, bro. I was like, let's go. Send me your resume. We're going to get you a job the moment you walk out of there. Just what you do. What's what you do, man. Because luckily I never hit rock bottom, and I'm grateful for that, bro. I'm grateful for that. So your question is, do people come to me for that? It is a lot about alcohol, but it's really just about being happy. I should change health harder than life to happier than life, because that's what it's about. I want peace, clarity, and freedom. Inner peace is my happiness.
Sure, I'm with you.
And I live it every day. When you see me, I'm going to give you a big hug, and you're going to feel my energy.
I can feel it right now, bro. Yeah, this is great.
So yeah, because I just ask people what their association with alcohol. What's your association with alcohol? And I'm going to tell you right now, almost every single one of them gone. I had Jen Gottlieb on. She She doesn't drink. So many people don't drink. It's the cool thing. You want to freaking go Google celebrities that don't drink. You'd be amazed. It's the cool thing to do. And it didn't hurt that Huberman and Peterson did that podcast about how horrible it is for you in the studies. There was a study back in the day that came out that said a glass of wine a day was good for your heart. But what they didn't tell you was how bad it is for you with cancer. Did you know that your cancer risk jumps at 70%? 70% if you have 3 or more alcoholic drinks a week. Jesus, I had that in a setting. That was from Jordan Peterson, his own mouth. And I looked it up, like, no way. Now, it doesn't, it's not, statistics are funny. But either way, it's
sure.
I don't know, man, what you see here, what you see there, your followers and my followers, this is what facing your fears head on looks like. And I got a newsflash for you. It's May 23rd. Just wait. When I get my hands on this dude, we're going to do epic things. And it's going to be a household name. You and I are met at the exact right time. I've heard your name before. I've heard it in things. I never followed you. And then all of a sudden, it just showed up at the right time. Because I'm the right person to be there with you in the arena battling.
Yeah.
And what's the first thing I offered you was support on something that you're dealing with. And we're going to freaking take that to the next level. We're going to push you up and take Ed Milet's spot. I know Ed's going to hear this. We're going to push you because I got no ego. You be the man. I'll be the man behind the man.
No, that's all good.
Because if you succeed, I'm going to succeed right there with you. And I'll be so freaking happy.
You know what? I think it's, and I don't say this like in a braggadocious way, but I think it's people like us that keep the world going around. It's people that I admire that keep the world going around because they're the ones that have the courage to really speak truth and to really be a beacon and a light for hope for people that have the worst starts in life, the worst circumstances, to know that you can start there and get there. To me, that is the story that keeps the world going around. And that is what freedom really is. You can start at point A and you can end wherever you can dream. And if
you just went through a cool thing, talk about that freedom deeper, because it's just not freedom to move about the world. It's freedom right here. It's not to be a prisoner in your mind.
Yeah.
It's to know that when I say something, it's going to happen.
Yes.
It's knowing that you're completely in alignment with who you say you are, who you want to be, and that person is admired and just happy and just loving, and full of love. I'm going to do a TED Talk here in October about just that thing, the courage to be vulnerable and the courage to really step into your true, authentic, genuine self. You'll never, ever have a conversation with me and go, that's not in alignment with what you are.
Yeah. No, I feel that.
Who you see is what you get. Let's freaking grow. I can't even remember a lot.
That's powerful, man. To get there in life is powerful, Kelly. Wow. It's like a rare place to get. Yeah, what a gift. Where can we send people if we want to connect with you, if they want to get your book, if they want to get in your coaching program, if they want to listen to your podcast, if people want to know more about you, where should we send them?
Yeah, thanks. I hang out on Instagram with everybody else. We're banging through LinkedIn as well, but it's just Kelly.Siegel, spelled Siegel, and hearterthanlife.com. You can buy merchandise. You can sign up for the program. Again, right now we're running a special where the first 100 people are getting 50% off. It's extremely affordable. Again, all proceeds are going to charity, but I got to charge something because it costs me money. And if I give it away for free, you won't
appreciate
it.
No, you got to put skin in the game. Exactly.
So we're going to charge something. And we have 3 charities that we donate to. One of them we're joining the board. It's Families Against Narcotics, and 2 children's charities that I know that you just love. And I'm going to join you on the next mission, wherever you go. And I'll put this on the brother. Wherever you go, you got a brother with you, and no matter what happens, I'll ride and die with you all the way through, no matter who comes at you. I'm the best kind of friend to have because I ain't running and I ain't scared.
Yeah, everyone needs a Kelly in their life, man. Thank you. I appreciate it,
Pretty
man.
Much.
It's good. It's good.
I got one behind me, too.
That's right.
That dude's scary.
You don't want to fuck with him.
No.
I'm grateful for you, man. Thank you for doing this. I can't wait to do it again, man. We'll do part 2 soon.
What you're doing.
Grateful for you, brother. We'll talk to you soon.